Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel, Empowering Women in Midlife. I'm Hélène, the Midlife Mentor and your host. Now, if you don't want to miss out on any of my new videos, please click the subscribe button and don't forget to hit the bell so you're sure to be notified when a new video is released. Today, I wanted to share some key takeaways from a book I just read on parenting adult children. So if that's you, please watch. The truth is, our job as parents is to raise our kids to actually leave us, right? And if all goes well, they do. They set off on their careers, they start their own families. But the years when our kids become adults and strike out on their own can be a difficult adjustment for all of us. Now, many of us will struggle as we try to forge a new type of relationship with our adult children. Maybe you or your friends have complaints like these. She never calls. His girlfriend doesn't seem to like us. She only reaches out when she needs something. He's always asking for money. She's not interested in my advice. He doesn't want to spend the holidays with us. She forgot to call on my birthday. He gets annoyed at my questions. She spends all her time with her boyfriend's family. Why did he have to move so far away? The list goes on, right? So these kinds of challenges are exactly what Jane Isay sought to understand when she wrote her book, Walking on Eggshells, Navigating the Delicate Relationship Between Adult Children and Parents. Here's the book. Isay traveled all over the US and did 75 in-depth interviews split between parents in their late 40s to middle 70s, as well as grown children between 25 and 55. And I was so captivated by her book that I wanted to share the most interesting parts from me, including some excerpts from the book. So here's the first point that made a lot of sense to me. In their 20s, our grown children are trying to find themselves. They're trying to become adults, but this seems to happen in fits and starts. I bet Isay's words will resonate with many of us. All right, get to my page. In their 20s, these young adults ask advice, but they don't take it. They call to check in, and then they get off the phone. They arrive home as adults and deposit their dirty laundry in the middle of the living room. Dirty clothes can sit there for days before the mother of the family gives in and does laundry. It is infuriating. They want our counsel, but they insist on making their own mistakes. They miss us, but they must be independent. That resonated with me. So we expect that when our kids leave for college or work, they will start behaving like adults, like many of us did. But that's not what's happening these days. Isay explains, I'm going to go to the next excerpt. A new developmental stage called emerging adulthood has been explored by social psychologists and the media. What they have found is that 20-somethings are not really grown. They are not committing to a life's work or to another person. They are floating through life, tasting and testing until they reach their 30s. It is frustrating for parents who expect them to choose careers and mates and who have been looking forward to an easy back and forth with their adult children. But there is good news. Here's what Isay says happens after the 20s. It turns out that this decade is good training for us. It accustoms us to a bit of distance from our children. Once they're established, usually after the 30th birthday, married or not, in a good job or not, they are getting ready to develop an adult-to-adult relationship with us. If you use the decade between college and real adulthood to convince your children that you're not there to interfere and impose your ideas on them, good things can happen. So I love that. That was the first point I wanted to make about just this whole timing, this whole decade of the 20s and kind of adjusting our expectations, right? So here's another point that Isay makes in her book. She says our adult children's feelings toward us are complicated. And I think this sums it up really well. They are struggling to come to terms with their parents as people, flaws and all. When they are disappointed in us, they feel terrible. When they cause a blow up at home, they feel awful. They resent it when parents meddle and are distressed when parents try to fix everything ASAP. They become seriously annoyed or embarrassed by parents' behavior in public. When they feel they are being judged, they become even harsher judges. They know it hurts when they can't chat long enough on the phone. They feel bad, but they have a job to do and a life to lead. They are busy. They want to bridge the gap with their parents, but as much as they love us, and she says the young people I talked with expressed great depths of love, they struggle to get it right just as we do. So what I love about this is just the amount of compassion that we want to extend to ourselves, but also to our young adults, our emerging adults who are really trying to figure it out, trying to figure out how to have a relationship with us, how to live in the world without us. It's complicated, and it's going to take a bunch of years for them to do. So I thought that was a really important point. So here's another takeaway from the author. She says, we need new rules of engagement. When our kids are grown, we don't hold all the cards anymore. The balance of power is changing. A minor disagreement can lead to radio silence for days or weeks or longer. We are in a way more vulnerable position than we used to be. So it's really up to us to adjust our expectations and our behavior. I'm going to read you another excerpt that touches on that so well. Isay says, I was surprised to learn how little it takes to improve the relationship with our grown children. We don't have to remake ourselves. We just have to listen to them and be mindful of what they are living through and adjust our behavior to that. We have to treat them like the adults they are. We have to give up the past so that they can do the same. Two things encourage this path. First, they love us and they want our love. Second, not only do the small changes in our attitude make things easier, these changes can also help them understand and reframe the past. Our kids need to see us differently, not as the powerful puppet masters we used to be, but as ordinary people with ordinary weaknesses and flaws. If they gain some compassion and understanding, they may reconsider their view of the past. Sometimes they'll appreciate things they had forgotten, and they may also begin to understand why we did the things they resented. We have the power to invite them home on a new footing. This is done through our words, our actions, our tone, and even our body language. So, this is a hopeful message, right? We can set the tone, we can model things, we can change the way we think, our assumptions and our actions, our behaviors, our expectations, and really set the tone for a new kind of relationship. But we need to model that, not just leave it up to our kids. And finally, the biggest piece of advice from Isay in this whole book is this: do not give your grown child unsolicited advice. However well-meaning it is, it will feel like criticism to them. And I'm going to repeat this again because this really, really made sense to me and resonated. However well-meaning your unsolicited advice is, it will feel like criticism to them. Of course, we want to give them the benefit of our experience. We want to help them avoid failure and disappointment and pain, right? But they do not want our input. They view it as intrusive, demeaning, and controlling. Here's how Isay puts it. Efforts to exert control push grown children away. This is a hard lesson. We can no longer control them, but we have to keep perfect control of ourselves. That does not seem fair, and it isn't fair. But time is on their side, not ours. They will outlive us. They can and will withdraw from us if things are tense. This reality may help us to stay cool. Wise people have offered some strategies for turning down the volume of these interactions before parents run into trouble. If a phone call is getting tense, make believe you hear the doorbell ringing and get off the phone. That'll keep the conversation from deteriorating. If an email from a grown child or an in-law makes you angry, it's okay to write a reply, but save it for a day and reread it before sending it. You would be amazed at what 24 hours can do for cooling down your tone. Want to write a letter? Do it and then file it in your drawer under F for furious. Think twice about writing letters that express judgments and advice you would not offer in person. I know a man who has kept a letter his mother wrote him 40 years ago in which she warned him that he was drinking too much. He never listened to her, but it still makes him fume every time he thinks of it. If you haven't been able to hold things together and communications have become difficult, there's another tactic. Keep at it. Leave loving and short messages on his voicemail, just reminding him that you love him. Send kind notes via email, just keeping her up to date with no demand for a reply. Send a postcard, a note, something that says, I love you and I don't want to lose you. That helps to keep the door of reconciliation open. So this is, again, so important. It's all about communication, right? And really allowing ourselves the compassion to step back and to take a little time and respond rather than reacting, which is a life lesson we need to apply in all aspects of our lives and communications and relationships, right? Particularly important when we're talking about an adult child of ours. So I just found that piece so important. And just a reminder, do not give advice unless they specifically ask you for it. And even then, don't expect them to follow it, right? It's just really lowering your expectations. So Isay's book is full of detailed personal stories and examples, which really bring her lessons to life. And in today's video, I've really only scratched the surface of what she discusses. Her book also covers how to deal with specific issues like about in-laws or grandparenting or holidays and the big taboo, money. A lot of problems around money with adult children. So I highly recommend this book, Walking on Eggshells by Jane Isay. And I'll link to it in the description so you can decide for yourself if you want to grab it. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and don't forget to hit the bell so you're sure to be notified when new videos are released. Until then, be well and stay safe, everybody. Bye.